Hi there. I hope the first thing that you paid attention to wasn't the hairstyle of mine, though FYI, this hairstyle is so disastrous because I just had a shower and I'll be heading to the bathroom again in order to get dolled up and in order to do my hair. I resolved to fill my day in order to, again, speak some English and in order to show you some plain mere routine. Because I don't know how you honestly feel about that, but recently the only content that I've been consuming is somewhat related to routine, regimen, and some healthy habits. Maybe because I'm partial to healthy habits myself. I'm trying to foster them in my lifestyle. I'm trying to stick to them as often as I can and as consistently and meticulously as I can. Maybe it's somehow related with my gut feeling and with my own preferences, because recently I've been partial to watching videos about routine, about how I do this and that thing, something related to healthy lifestyle, healthy habits. I don't think that I want to follow in someone's footsteps, but just these videos are kind of grounding for me because I'm able to take my mind to things and generally unwind, because I'm overloaded with so much information everywhere, and every nook and cranny of my brain is kind of crawling with some information and thoughts. Recently I've been overwhelmed with the amount of news, amount of content that people release and post relentlessly on their social media. So I decided to take a chill pill in a way and create something simple and plain. I don't know if it comes to your liking or not. Let me know in the comments whether you like this video or not. I'll try to make it as concise and as succinct as it's possible. Usually for brekkie, I opt for anything that is high in protein and in carbohydrates because I can feel rejuvenated and that really sets the tone for the upcoming day. That's why my go-to dish that I have is some eggs, also whipped with soft cottage cheese. Also add some tomatoes, chicken, and whatnot. That just feels delightful and scrumptious. Maybe because I no longer pay as much attention to the taste and flavor, but more to how nutritious and nourishing the food is. It doesn't mean, by the way, that I have eradicated all junk food from my life. Not at all. Sometimes I can pamper myself with some, I don't know, let's say a candy or chicken wings, but it rarely happens because now I keep track of my calorie intake and I want to make sure that I keep it in check and I know exactly a specific number of calories that I take in within the day. Sometimes students wonder how it happened that I fostered these habits and how I successfully managed to stick with them. But the thing is that just I once realized, first of all, I was petrified of my wedding photographs. I was petrified of what my back looked like. It looked really flabby and absolutely unattractive. So I realized that as long as I wanna make it work and as long as I wanna be in harmony with myself, I just need to slim down. I need to see myself the best version of myself possible. I know that that might sound narcissistic, but I don't know what I can do with that, honestly. I just want to finally get the closure on a really good figure. That's it. Until that moment, I'd been hitting the gym for 5 years or maybe longer than that. And back in the day, I used to be a professional sportsman. And that's why I kind of obviously needed to keep fit at the time. And I constantly kept track of what I ate and checked in with myself with regards to it. But ever since I quit professional sports, I realized that I also had to monitor what I eat. Otherwise, I would have piled on the pounds. And taking into account that I'm only 1 meter 53 centimeters tall, every excessive kilo manifests itself. And unfortunately, I can see that. That's why I realized that I need to get to the bottom of the problem. I can't keep going to the gym on the rack without any results because I've been hitting it 3 times weekly and I didn't see any outcomes. And that boiled down to the fact that my nutrition was kind of chaotic and hectic. I could sometimes, for example, be consistent with healthy nutrition within the working week. And then Once the weekend came around, I usually went the whole hog and resorted to binging. That's why if you don't know why you can't lose any weight, I suggest you just dissect what your diet represents, and you will be surprised with the fact that actually it leaves much to be desired. Okay, I know guys that you've been looking forward to the moment when I would finally get dolled up and do my hair, and it's high time I did it. Honestly, if I come clean about the procedure itself, I would say that that's my biggest pet peeve because first of all, it's extremely time consuming, and second of all, the outcome is usually a huge letdown because well, honestly, I'd never taken that seriously. I always prioritized my intelligence and my intellect over my appearance, and that's why I never got enrolled in any courses where I could learn the ropes of how to blow dry my hair and how to do it appropriately. What can I say? Sue me. However, since I'm a blogger and I do take my work seriously, I realize that, of course, after all, we do judge a book by its cover, and that's why I do have to have my looks up to the mark. And I can't help but prioritize it. Since I've been into blogging for almost 4 years, I already have come to terms with the fact that it just comes with the territory. And I've embraced it, I would say even eagerly. As you gathered, I usually tend to take it slow in the mornings, except for the walks that I have with my doggo. But then I make up for it in the afternoons. The thing is that my husband has to commute to the office every day. He might sometimes just be cooped up in 4 walls together with me, but as a rule, he just heads there so that he could also be more productive. And that's why in the afternoons, I'm left to my own devices and I can do as I please. Of course, since I work on social media, I'm glued to my screen 24/7, but sometimes I might get distracted by this fluffy thing. You know, if it hadn't been for my dog, I would have gone insane a long time ago. Usually by 3 p.m., I have already tackled the majority of organizational issues and I might get outdoorsy, which sometimes may come across as a false alarm to my little fluffy friend. Well, judging by my windows, you can assume that I'm not much of a homemaker. However, the weather on that day was just fabulous. By the way, that's today's weather in Moscow. Leaves much to be desired, huh? So once I get out, I just soak up the sun and bask in the atmosphere in favorable weather. And that's how I usually get my second wind. Because guess what? I also get back to work. But before I get sucked into my work-related tasks and volume of work, I also get playful with my doggo again. You just can't imagine how happy I am that once I decided to take the stray doggo home, and now she lifts my spirits every day. I bet that a lot of you might have read self-help books about productivity and stuff. I'm usually not partial and big on such literature because I find it dull, tedious, and boring. Sometimes you can gain some insights for sure, but usually you just need to implement everything that you find out about. So my personal approach is that even though I take it slow in the mornings, I am also at my most creative and productive stage. That is why I tend to create a lot of content for the forthcoming day in the mornings, because I'm also able to double check it and I don't feel as worn out as I usually do by the evenings after my classes are over. And I really do love the fact that in the afternoons you're not bothered by anyone except for the doggo. And by the evenings, when I feel like I'm mentally drained, I usually opt for something physical. That's why most workouts of mine are arranged and scheduled for the evening hours. So my tennis workout starts at 10 p.m. and the rest of the workouts start at 7 to 8. These are the moments of sheer bliss. Am I bun? My sweetheart. Oh jeez. If you've made it till the end of this video, please let me know in the comments and your reactions whether you like this video or not. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'll see you around.